BYU went 11-1. Anyone, anywhere. Write it on the headband, baby. Let's go. As we look ahead to Kalani Sitake's group in the upcoming season, there is a lot to replace, and it is not limited to Zach Wilson, who does appear to be on his way to a very high pick in the NFL draft. But let's start there. Quarterback. Baylor Romney was the primary backup for Wilson, so he will be considered one of the top candidates to replace him. Jaron Hall is another name that I would mention. All of this is very significant, especially because here, offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes, he went to Baylor, and it wasn't just him. The offensive line coach went too, and it's not just them. 3 key offensive linemen all declared for the NFL draft. Now, Sitake decided that he was going to stay in-house, promoted Aaron Roderick from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator. But as we look at the way that, have y'all seen the Zach Wilson highlights? Well, we all watched him, but it's like, man, he made awesome throws and no one was within 10 yards of him as he made the throw. It's like, man, he rolled out, but nobody was in his face. This offensive line was awesome. We're losing 3 NFL players and the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator. It's not just quarterback. There's a lot to be concerned there for BYU. So where are y'all's thoughts with the Cougars here in spring practice?
It's a whole new team. I mean, I think it's safe to say you can hold this against me if you want. BYU's not going 11-1 this year. Like, you mentioned all the losses. You're losing Zach Wilson, who might be the second pick in the NFL draft the way things are going. And I just don't think BYU is a program that is in a condition where they could lose that guy and just expect to keep going at the same rate that they were last year. I think last year's team was a very special BYU team in a special situation with, frankly, a schedule that wasn't the most challenging, and certainly not as challenging as the one they're going to face this year. So you're losing him. You're losing your offensive coordinator. You're losing a whole bunch of people on offense and defense. We look at Connolly's returning production rankings of the 127 teams that played last year. BYU ranks 127th in returning production for 2021. So for me this spring, there's nowhere not to look as far as trying to, like, what's interesting to me this spring. Well, let me look at the quarterback situation. Let me look at the offensive line. Let me look at the defensive line. Let me look in the secondary. Let me look on the sidelines at the coaching staffs who are now new coaches in new spots trying to figure this all out at the same time. This is like a spring mixer more than a spring practice to me, where everybody's going to be getting to know each other. And I think that it's going to be really important for this team heading into the summer and fall, because again, they're not going to go 11-1. That doesn't mean I sit here and I'm saying they're going to go 5-7 or 4-8. I still think they're BYU. They're going to be pretty good. They do.
Tom Fornelli says BYU will go 5-7 or 4-8. Like, Coker, clip that.
Let's go. Aggregate that.
But like they have a typical, somewhat, a Power 5 heavy schedule. Like BYU does that. They start with Arizona, then they get Utah and Arizona State. So they're literally opening their season with 3 Pac-12 teams. They get USF, they get Utah State, Boise State. Then they've got Baylor, Washington State, Virginia, Idaho State, Georgia Southern, USC. They play a more difficult schedule in a typical year than some Power 5 teams do, if we're being honest. So it's going to be a difficult situation for them to maintain the kind of success that they had last year. So I think this is going to be a reset year, but I think that this spring is going to be very important for the Cougars to establish roles and get people into the new offenses, into the new defenses, knowing what their route role is, knowing who's capable of doing what, just figuring all that crap out is what they have to do in 15 practices.
So is this your favorite for the team that is likely to have the greatest drop off in wins from last year to this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so too. Not like to the extent where I would take it over the field, because somebody else may do it, but if I had to pick one team, it's probably them.
Well, 11 is a high,
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean 11 to 4 or 5, they could be okay, and we could have a 6-win delta.
Like if we look at the last AP poll of the season last year, and it's like pick the one team in these rankings that you're the most confident won't finish next season in the top 25, it's this team.
Yeah, I would agree. They did so many things well last year, but I am struck. Remember when we talked about Northwestern and how many guys they were losing to the draft and how long it had been since they had multiple first round picks, but also, just multiple top 100 picks and whatnot. I think you have a similar thing going on here with BYU. When these teams in G5 teams, and I know BYU is an Indy, but in my mind, they're a little more of a G5 than they are P5. Not by like they're a little closer than some are, but when they lose this amount of top level talent, top level experience, that normally hurts. When they lose a quarterback, right, who's going to go high in the NFL draft, that is almost always a really big deal. And I don't care how much you like Baylor Romney. I mean, the odds that they have another Zach Wilson ready to go are very low, right? Not to mention Romney's numbers last year were not great. I mean, 6.4 per attempt adjusted, 68% completions is fine, but again, not very far downfield. And I think that this is a team that is particularly hurt with the rest of the country bringing back so much experience, right? They might be able to go, I don't know, 8-4, 9-3 in a given year, losing this. But this year, I think it makes it more punitive to lose as much as they did. It'll still be a good team, I think. Just this could be one of those teams that we're betting on in November because they have a losing record entering the month, and we're like they're a little bit better than they thought. It took a little while for them to gel. I'm back in BYU down the stretch type thing. Maybe they'll get to a bowl. That's kind of my read early on.
I do want to make one amendment. Not top 25, but top teams that finished in the top 15 last year to finish unranked. Because if you look at the bottom of the AP poll last year, you got Buffalo, San Jose State, Ball State. There's a good chance they won't finish ranked either.
I thought about that too. When I was mentioning all those teams at the beginning, I was like San Jose State, Ball State. There's a lot of teams out there that Tulsa. We'll see. If you want spring gleaning on your team, put it in the mailbag. We'll put it together in a future mailbag episode.